Hey, it's Scott McFarlane. Good morning. It's Tuesday, and a day later, we're still trying to unpack everything in this lengthy court filing from former FBI Director James Comey seeking to get his criminal case dismissed. There's two different filings. One argues that the acting prosecutor, the one-time Trump White House aide Lindsay Halligan, is unlawfully appointed. Let's put that aside for a moment. This 51-page filing arguing it's vindictive and selective prosecution. As this day begins, the question is this the first argument of its kind, or is this the last argument of its kind? Do similarly situated defendants make the same argument? Will New York Attorney General Letitia James argue that President Trump has ordered a vindictive prosecution this year? Will John Bolton, the former National Security Advisor, argue there's a vindictive prosecution? What James Comey argues is, well, never quite seen anything quite like this before. First of all, he quotes President Trump to the court to argue for a selective prosecution, saying Trump has publicly called Comey a, quote, corrupt piece of garbage, a disgraced liar and leaker, a weasel, a weak and untruthful slimeball, very sick, and very dumb, among other things. He quotes the president as having said. But there on page 14, it's kind of buried in my pile, but it's pretty important. What Comey's arguing here is that this is some form of a facially non-factual, a facially flawed charging document, indictment. What he says here is the indictment misstates an exchange between Senator Cruz and James Comey at the heart of this case. He says that they may seek to dismiss this case, or at least one count of this case, based on a defense of literal truth, that the facts are wrong in the indictment, in addition to being selective and vindictive. Now, we'll see how the Department of Justice responds to this over time, and ultimately how the judge in the Eastern District of Virginia rules on this. But as the day begins, as you read through what James Comey's arguing, it's hard to escape the overall overarching question. Is this the first time we see this argument, or the last this year?